Hi, ladies. This is Monique with Boundaries for Women. And in case you haven't been here before, I am here to remind you that you're worthy of love and respect. If you like what you're hearing on this channel, please feel free to subscribe and share if you think it might help someone else. So, let's talk about people pleasing and resentment because the two often go hand in hand. And people pleasing, as I said in a previous video, can be a trauma response. It can be a response to just trying to keep people from hurting you, trying to feel safe. And it's something that you're not doing it because there's something necessarily wrong with you. It's just something that was a safe way for you to behave at a certain stage in your life. But if people pleasing continues and it continues to be something that is a way that you operate throughout life, then you may notice that what accompanies that often is resentment. And resentment, especially in the faith communities, can be something that is denied for a long time because, it's hard to admit to oneself that there could be resentment because then that almost seems to contradict the kind person that you want to be, right? Because if you think that you're resentful, it's hard to think that you're kind. And but it is something that needs to be addressed. And I would say, especially as a Christian, someone who's wanting to follow God and is trying to be walking in the footsteps of Christ, since he wasn't resentful, right? So we don't want to have resentment in ourselves, but let's talk about how that can even happen. So let's say you have a situation and you want to do A, but you are in a situation with someone where you end up doing something that maybe they want you to do, that they expect you to do, or behave in a way they expect you to behave. And so just because you think it might be easier in the moment, you just go along with it. And then that becomes a pattern because resentment tends to kind of build up. It tends to be something that it's not like a one-time thing, it seems. It seems like it's something that kind of stacks up. And so a lot of times you can do something and in the moment seems from the outside like you're totally fine with that. But if you then are by yourself for a little bit and you start thinking about it, you might notice that you start having a lot of resentful thoughts, a lot of bitterness, anger, a lot of stuff that you may be trying to suppress. Suppressed emotions can lead to a whole host of physical ailments. It can lead to a whole bunch of things because when emotions aren't addressed, they do take up space in your body in a way that is not healthy. And so, when the Bible talks about releasing resentment and bitterness and all these things, it's not just because it's like makes you a nicer person. It's because God wants what's best for us, and holding on to those things is not healthy. It's not healthy physically. It's not healthy emotionally. So looking at resentment and really acknowledging it and admitting that it's there is usually the biggest part of it. Once you get to that point, the next step is a lot easier because the denial of it is a lot of the time how it all kind of starts to fester and build, and then it can escalate into anger and all these other things, right? So basically just giving it to God, just admitting he already knows anyway. So just admitting this is what's going on. I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to be carrying this. I don't want this bitterness in me. Please, Lord, take it, remove it, and replace it with your peace and your goodness and your love and all those fruits of the Spirit. But admitting it, giving it to God, just saying, Lord, forgive me, I don't want this, and releasing it. And then addressing whatever needs to be addressed, right? So whether that's within yourself, or let's say next time a situation comes up, or let's say you said yes to something that you really would have wanted to say no to. It depends on the level of commitment there and what it is that you just now committed to. But you can always go back to a situation and say in a very peaceful, calm, loving manner, I overestimated, how much time I would have or how much energy I would have. And so I'm really sorry, but I know I said I was going to do this, but I'm not going to be able to do that. You can do that. Right? I mean, that's something you can work out. Or if you feel like, no, you've now committed, you have to follow through, then the next time something comes up, check in with yourself before you say yes, before you commit to something. A lot of times, all it takes is just saying, let me get back to you on that, rather than just, always just knee-jerk reacting with, yes, of course, that you do whatever is asked of you. Just say, let me get back to you. And that is sometimes the quickest, easiest way to give yourself some space, and you may want to do it. But you know now why you're doing it. You're doing it because you want to, because you feel like God wants you to, and not just because you're doing it to make someone else feel better about you or approve of you or like you or any of those things. You're doing it because you have peace about it. And that's the most important thing. And that will keep you from resentment. And that will keep you from bitterness and a lot of other things, because you'll be at peace with yourself. Because a lot of times, people pleasing is about doing things not based on what you think or what God thinks and wants, but on what you think someone else wants. And so it's just really important to always check in with yourself, check in with God, and give yourself that space. Let me know if this is helpful to you, if you have any other thoughts of ways that you manage this and that might be helpful to others, and or any questions that you have. I'm always happy to answer, and I might do a video or a podcast on it. So thanks for listening, and remember, you're worthy of love and respect. Till next time.